4 a.m. in the Woods. This is a series that I started after hearing that Washington Carver gave God glory for all of his inventions and the cool things that he did on earth to the action of walking in the woods with God every morning at 4 a.m. Carver told us that God would give him godly wisdom when he would walk and talk with him. And we all know godly wisdom is better than worldly wisdom. It is valuable and it is just so important for our lives here on earth. I have this desire to share it with you guys every single morning. The joy of the Lord has been strengthening me and I get so excited about this. I wanted to do that, so I prayed, Lord, do you want me to do this? And the next morning he woke me up without an alarm at 4 a.m. And he's woken me up most mornings without an alarm around 4 a.m. This series is a chapter by chapter study, and currently we are in 1 Samuel. Last chapter in 26, we got a good contrast of the differences between David and Saul. The differences between a house built on sand and a house built on the rock. They have this going back and forth again, kind of like Ross and Rachel's relationship in Friends. Except the non-romantic kind, and one of them wants to kill the other. David said to himself, "One of these days I'll be swept away by Saul. There is nothing better for me than to escape immediately to the land of the Philistines. Then Saul will give up searching for me everywhere in Israel, and I'll escape from him." Now we see him doubting in his heart. This is a good reminder that when we are too much in our thoughts or our own heart, we can become a little depressed and doubtful. This is why prayer and this is very important every day. It must be hard for David after passing all of God's tests recently to pass a test and then nothing happened. We so often hear God is testing you and then this is gonna come, your blessing's gonna come. It's just a test, hang in there. But what happens when we pass a test and nothing happens? So David and his 600 men went to go live in Gath. Now David said to Achish, "If I have found favor with you, let me be given in a place of one of the outlying towns," basically the country or like a suburb. So he gave him a whole town called Ziklag. The first time that David comes to the king of Gath, he pretends to be completely crazy, like drooling from his beard. Gath shoos him away and says, "I don't need any more crazy people here." This time David is coming and is kind of like offering himself as an ally and a servant to the king of Gath. David was living in this territory, but he wasn't defeating people of Israel. He was defeating Philistine friends, Philistine allies. David was being strategic like a king. David and his men left no witnesses that could go back to the king of Gath and tell them what they're doing there. He's being a double agent. David may no longer be in Israel, but Israel sure is inside of David. Biggest theme I catch here is the heart problem, the doubting and the lie that David is believing in his heart. God promised David that he would be king. He anointed him to be king. That was the plan. But David was in a depressed state. He had been in the wilderness for so long, running for his life. He has his wives with him, and this is a hard life. It's very hard for them. 2 times David passed God's test on not touching the anointed one and letting God have his justice and his timing. Even after those past tests, nothing happened yet. He was still waiting in the wilderness. That has to be so hard, and I'm sure that some of us can relate to. We can't give up on what we feel like God is calling us to do when things get really hard and it seems like nothing's coming, because just in a couple chapters, Saul is gone. How often is the battle of our minds and the spiritual battle so much stronger right at the end of a wilderness? I do love, though, that David is still following after God. He still loves God, and he ultimately, deep down, I think he would know exactly that God is going to do what he says he's going to do. David stayed faithful to his country, Israel, the entire time. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I will see you on the next 4 a.m.